back to Haas of Props. I'm Buddy, and today I'm going to show you how to build this faux leather pouch used by the Sandman and G.W. Mullins' new book series, Dreamwalker. I have provided a link to my free template so you can build this right along with me. You can build this design out of EVA foam or even real leather, but today I'm going to use this product called wonderflex. Wonderflex is a thermoplastic and is super easy to work with. I've used it for masks and to mimic textures like metal and wood in my professional theatrical work. Wonderflex has a smooth side and a side with a textured mesh. For this project, I place my pieces so the mesh will be on the inside. This will give us a smooth leather look. I use a heat gun to soften the Wonderflex. You can also use hot water if you want. Just be careful you don't burn yourself in either case. When the right temperature is reached, the Wonderflex will sag under its own weight. I used a metal ruler to help make sure I got a straight line across the top and just folded the Wonderflex onto itself and pressed down firmly. Next, I heated up the middle of the middle piece and the middle of the front piece. Then aligned the center and pressed the hem allowances together firmly. Then the process was repeated for each side, but one at a time. The back piece was attached the same way, first the middle, then one side at a time. I heated the top of the middle piece and using my fingers created a crease shape, just to help sell the idea that this is a leather pouch. The flap's edges were then heated and folded along the hem lines. I then took the two belt loops, heated them, and folded them in half lengthwise. The ends were then heated and attached to the back of the pouch where I had made registration marks with a pencil. The side pocket was heated and attached onto one side. The side loops were treated just like the belt loops, only these were attached to the side opposite the pocket. Next, I glued on an EVA foam snap detail. This is non-functional, but a functional one can be used if you want. With the pouch built, it's time to paint. I start with a burnt umber and base the entire build. Next, I take chocolate bar brown with a rag and then rub and buff this sporadically across the entire surface. Then using black with a rag, I buff in areas which would be heavily weathered or would attract grime buildup like creases and seams. To add more aging to the leather, I dry brush khaki tan onto the edges of the pouch. On the front of the pouch, I glued a 3D printed Sandman logo. I then took a bronze metallic and brushed this onto the pouch details, which needed to look more metal-like. The last step was to add the gold residue from the sand the Sandmen use. To do this, I used metallic gold and applied it by hand to spots where the Sandman might actually touch. So, you all can see the steps I took to put together the Sandman's pouch without using actual leather. If you are enjoying these videos, be sure to give them a thumbs up and subscribe. And remember, if you are building any of my builds or using any of my templates, feel free and tag me at Haas of Props on Instagram and Twitter, because I would really like to see your fantastic work. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.